cottage where I was born is the empty shell of a holiday home. Most of the year there's no one there. The village is dead and they don't care. Now we live on the edge of town. Haven't been back since the pub closed down. One man's family pays the price for another man's vision of country life.
I don't think I'll ever be able to buy my own property here, even when I am older.
I currently live with my parents because I can't afford to either rent or buy.
We need a new house, we need to build new estates.
It's just incredibly expensive. My friend's living in a caravan with her newborn baby in Heacham, and they're being evicted from the caravan soon because the season ends in the caravan park, and so she's going to be homeless with the newborn.
I've got my dad, my mother, my aunt, my sister, my brother, my auntie, my uncle. They're all on the side of the road now.
There was nowhere for them to place me, you know. They had nowhere for me to go. That's why I had to go into bed and breakfast, and they were really reluctant to put me into B&B. That's why I had to stay with my buses, you know, until I really had nowhere else to go. No one would put me up.
My circle of friends, we all either have small businesses, just starting businesses, or maybe running shops for people. And a lot of them are all getting to the stage where they desperately want a house. But they're all having to move out.
Winter time here, I struggle because we've got no local community to keep the village pub going.
First and foremost, we really wanted to listen, and as chairman of the Commission for Rural Communities and Rural Advocate, listening is an essential part of the role. We wanted really to get behind the statistics, and so that's why we went out into 8 of the regions in England and held public meetings in village halls and in pubs.
For housing for people that live and work in a locality.
In this area we've got huge high prices but very low wages, which means young people are leaving the area for better paid jobs, better quality jobs, and to be able to afford houses.
The government should not confuse income and wages, because throughout large parts of the Lake District, people who've retired into this area are on very good incomes, but the wages are still very low.
The first issue is the complexity and restrictiveness of the National Park planning policy. The effect is the breakdown of the rural community and restrictive development of new homes, affordable new housing.
We believe that there should be a focus, simply a focus on creating sustainable communities. By this we mean communities in which housing is only one part of the equation.
We're talking about 50% of our population in South Shropshire and in Herefordshire who earn under £18,000 per annum. Now they cannot afford a mortgage of over £80,000, so we are talking about 50% of our population who we have not catered for properly.
Affordable housing is right at the very top of everybody's agenda in rural areas. It is their #1 priority. We also found that people were almost disenchanted of not being involved in what was happening in their communities and in their neighbourhoods.
Does the government really understand rural? I don't think so.
There's totally enough houses, that's not the problem at all.
Well, more housing, whatever.
Dump and Solway now have got virtually the only ones they've got are flats left. They've got a few houses, and they only move once or twice a year.
What I've written down is better provision of affordable housing associated with diversified rural businesses.
People who own the houses, they can get an awful lot more per week for a holiday let than they can just renting it on a normal, regular lease.
People said to me on numerous occasions, year after year after year, this has been on our agenda. We really want action now.
The basic housing problem here is that this is a wonderful area to come on holiday. We have now got about 75% of second homes. So it means that there are very few people who live here all the time.
I'm probably part of the problem in the fact that a lot of us will be downsizing before long, and we will actually be buying houses that the younger families will also be competing for.
There's quite a major waiting list that's held by the local authority
and yet there's only a comparatively small new build programme of homes being provided to meet that need.
New developments almost always resisted, and when new development does occur, partially I guess to maximise profit, partially to make it more attractive to those who are already local, it tends to be more executive homes, which we need like a hole in the head, to be quite honest.
What we need is low-cost housing in rural areas, because if not, the schools are going to suffer, and we don't all want to live in a town.
10 years from now, I think that there is housing being considered around here, but I think what communities have to be ready for is to jump up and say, we need it here now.
The first thing that nobody has done, which I feel ought to be done, is to actually listen to the local people.
What are the key messages coming out this evening that you would want us to take back to government?
So what actually do we mean by a local community? And I would actually argue for local at the parish level, having a very strong input into what's being said, rather than districts.
The first thing I think we've got to do, there is no point in building more houses until we make sure they stay local and they stay affordable.
We have a problem. We need to do something about it now, not in 10 years in the future.
We can get this right, but it does involve being brave, and it does involve us being outspoken and maybe taking some really radical decisions.
Every single person in this room has very, very, very strong opinions about this. And they're not all the same opinions, so whatever actions are taken, people are going to be disgruntled. My question was going to be, when will we all see the outcome of this inquiry?
Well, I made a very personal commitment. In all the meetings we've held around the country, I promised that the messages, the key messages that they were giving me on those occasions, I would personally take back to government and make sure that government will listen and hear what rural people are saying. We also hope that many of the recommendations will be accepted and will find their way into government thinking and strategy in the future.
What we need to see is a slight shift in government and regional housing policy to make sure that the houses that are re-provided are affordable to the existing community.
We know we have to accept that we have regional policies in place, however much we don't like them, but I think that those regional policies need better rural proofing.
The money that was made from the sale of council houses, which are now private property, should have been used to build more council houses, but that just hasn't happened.
Like, they're on about pouring money into this government scheme and that government scheme. It's human nature, like everything that was said in that, it's about money.
What is going to solve the problem is that we need more local needs housing to provide affordable housing for people who already live here or who want to return.
I think the solution is to grow.
We need some sort of coherent planning strategy and development strategy whereby we need a mix of new build housing, we need shared ownership schemes, and above all we need schemes whereby local people who know the situation and the problem are actually involved in the decision process.
You need a thriving and growing population in order to keep the key services alive, because if they go, they'll never come back.
The Commission for Rural Communities is calling for action in 4 main areas. Firstly, we want effective rural proofing of housing policies across all levels. We want thorough assessments of the housing needs of rural communities. Secondly, we want to see more resources invested in meeting affordable housing needs. Thirdly, we are calling for flexible and responsive planning policies which enable villages to grow and adapt to meet their changing economic and social circumstances. And finally, local community involvement in the decisions that shape the future of their community is absolutely essential.
One way or another.